ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My back still hurts. All right. Whoops. Sorry about that. Anyways, we do have some highs of around 98 degrees Fahrenheit and some lows around 78 degrees Fahrenheit. It is pretty hot out there, kids, so I would advise that you guys put on some sunscreen and stay hydrated, but also have fun. Chad Anderson.
Now, you just heard the weather, right? Sounds like the daily news on the television, or on your iPad, or on your phone. Except that the weatherman does not fall down every day.
What is weather? That's a great question, and I'm sure many of you guys are already familiar with it. So let's just dive into it. Weather describes the daily conditions of the atmosphere. Some of these daily conditions include temperature and humidity. You've probably seen this information on your TV or on your phone. For example, the weather in the winter is very, very cold, but the weather in the summer is hot. Very, very hot. So now moving on to climate. Climate is something that not all of you guys will be familiar with, but that's okay. The climate is the weather conditions in an area that are present for a very long. Okay, I'll stop now. One more time. Long time. For example, the climate of the Sahara Desert is very, very warm, but the climate of Antarctica is very, very cold.
Wait a minute, so what's the difference between weather and climate? You cannot weather a tree, but you can climb it. Get it? Just kidding. Weather is actually the short-term state of an area, but climate is the long-term state of an area. Now, there are so many different types of weather states and climate states, so my friend Dumbo decided to make a song about weather states. Now let's transition to that and hopefully you'll enjoy it.
So we're gonna be talking about weather states today. Let's get it. Weather states. Weather states. Weather states. Weather states. We got sunny, partly sunny. We got cloudy, partly cloudy. Then we got rainy. Then we got thunderstorms. Kapow! Then we got windy. Then we got snowing. Then we got the favorite. We got rainbows. Then we got the disasters, the dangerous ones. We got tornadoes. Then we got hurricanes. Last but not least, the favorite one of them all, we got clear skies.
So that was an amazing performance by Dumbo, and he was talking about the weather states, so I'm now going to be talking about the climate states. And I have a new shirt. So there are 5 different types of climate states. There is tropical, dry, moderate, continental, and polar. And so these 5 climates are all different from one another. And so the tropical climates are located near the equator because they are much warmer climates, but the polar climates are located near the poles, like the South and North Pole, because they're much colder. So these are some things to take in mind. Continental and dry are usually located between the tropical and polar because they're not too warm and not too cold.
Anyways, let's do an experiment. So for this experiment, you will need a jar, hairspray, ice, and some hot water.
Cool. So what?
Shush, Dumbo. Let me explain the procedure. Firstly, put some hot water in the jar and try not to spill it like I did. Unfortunately, good thing it's not too big of a problem. And there we go, hot water in a jar. Next, add a little hairspray or Febreze into the jar. Next, place an upside down lid or even a plate works on top of the jar and place some ice on top of the upside down lid or plate. So what this allows for the cloud to form and allows for the hot air to come out. So after a while you can see the water vapor start to condense and rise, and you can start to see a cloud form. Unfortunately, you guys may have not been able to see it that much due to the filming, but there was a cloud that appeared.
That is so cool! Oh my gosh!
Yeah, thanks, Dumbo.
Anyways, let's talk about convection. So you may be a little confused right now. You see a complex photo and you may not understand all of it, but let me break it down for you. So this is convection. It is a process where the warmer portions of a liquid, which are seen here as the red particles, rise towards the top, and then the colder part of the liquid, which are the blue particles, go towards the bottom. And this process allows for wind and ocean currents to occur in our Earth. And it really helps in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of processes that occur in our life.
Now let's do a convection experiment.
Yay! Woo!
So for this experiment, we will need a plastic container, a jar, some string, water, and food coloring. So first you're gonna need to tie a string around the jar, but try not to struggle like me. I struggled for quite a while. But yeah, you need to make sure that it is long enough so that you can easily put it into the plastic container. Now fill the plastic container with cold water. Next, put some room temperature water into the jar. So before you put the jar in the microwave, make sure to put 2 drops of food coloring. And by microwaving it, you will be able to see how the food coloring moves throughout the liquid. Microwave the water in the jar for around 30 seconds to 1 minute. After microwaving the water in the jar, you can see how the food coloring has moved throughout the liquid. Then lower the jar with the hot water, with the string, use the string, and try not to, it may take some time. I should have made the string longer, but so it'll be easier. So you need to make sure that the string is long and then slowly lower it into the cold water in the plastic container. You can now see how the hot water and cold water interact with one another by looking at the food coloring.
Wow, that's a lot of steps.
Yep, it's totally worth it because we can watch the interaction between the hot water and the cold water.
Dang, that's super cool.
Yeah, so now let's talk about tornadoes. Tornadoes are, you've probably heard of them. They're pretty dangerous, but also kind of cool. So tornadoes occur when warm air meets cold air. They clash with one another, and that leads to a very bad outcome, and it's not good. So whenever there is something called tornado season, and that happens around every year, where there are a bunch of tornadoes that occur around the coastal area sometimes, and they can destroy huge skyscrapers. So whenever a tornado occurs, make sure that you are staying safe and you are following all the precautions.
Alrighty guys, that has been the weather cycles for you guys. I hope you learned something new and